Would our members please find their seats, and our guests find seats in the gallery?
No, for party placement. Did he tell you?
When is that?
It was this morning.
Oh, who got it?
Denver. Just want to let you know. And they did fair and square. And
Fair and square. What?
It wasn't rigged this year.
It never is. But Scott Piles even asked
I
Kathy.
don't care, next year it can go the other, it's gonna go the other way. Well, you were on a call.
But I just wanted
It
to
doesn't matter.
give you the news.
Yeah, right, no, thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the recess meeting of April 21st for County Board. If everyone would please stand. A County Board member, Bob Howard, will lead us in the pledge this morning and then introduce our clergy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Executive and County Board members. I have the pleasure and honor to introduce Pastor David Green, Church of the Good Shepherd Evangelical Covenant Church, Crest Hill, Illinois. Pastor Green will be celebrating 20 years at Good Shepherd in July, and Pastor Green is also married to Denise, and they have 3 adult children. Thank you.
Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you for the skills and talents and wisdom represented here in this room, as well as care for the people of this community. I pray for those who will engage in deliberations today, that wise decisions will be made on behalf of all those represented, and that those decisions will be for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in these leaders. Let there be a spirit of fairness, right thought, and gracious speech in all that takes place here. May you bless the work of this board and all those who serve in this county. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Very nice. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor? Here. Brooks? Here. Howard? Here. Ogala? Here. Singer? Here. Moran? Rice? Here. Harris? Here. Trainier? Here. Benefield? Here. Fritz? Here. Freitag? Yes. Gould? Here. Balich? Here. Frizzalone? Here. Winfrey? Here. Parker? Here. Staley Ferry? Here. Babbage? Here. Wilhelmy? Hart? Here. Tumanello? Here. Weigel? Here. Collins? Here. Ferry? And Eustis. Here. Thank you.
23 present, 3 absent.
23 present. A quorum is created. Entertain a motion to place on file certificate of publication. Moved by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Harris. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sure. Mayor? Yes. Brooks? Yes. Howard? Yes. Ogala? Yes. Singer? Yes. Rice? Yes. Harris? Yes. Trainier? Yes. Benefield? Fritz. Freitag. Gould. Balich. Frizalone. Winfrey. Parker. Staley Ferry. Babbage. Hart. Tumanello. Weigel. Collins. And Mustis.
Mr.
20.
Mustis?
Thank you.
23 affirmative.
23 affirmative, motion is carried. Entertain approval of the recess meeting of March 17, 2016. Approval of the minutes, moved by Ms. Staley Ferry and second by Ms. Trenier. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Madam Clerk, would you please acknowledge the elected officials and the media that is here this morning?
Sure. County Clerk Nancy Schultz Foods, County Executive Larry Walsh, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stuckel, our Sheriff Mike Kelly, State's Attorney James Glasgow. In our media, we have Farmers Weekly Review Nick Ryer, Southtown Susan Lafferty, and Herald News Lauren Leon Cross. Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. So first up under honorary resolution proclamations, our first proclamation, recognizing Conway's Barbershop on 50 years in business. And presenting that is Lauren Staley Ferry and Annette Parker at the podium, please.
Good morning.
Recognizing Conway's High Style Beauty Center and Barbershop on its 50th anniversary. Whereas Conway's High Style Beauty Center and Barbershop is located at the northeast corner of Route 171 and Riley Street in Lockport Township in the Fairmont community. It is a long-standing community institution celebrating 50 years in business. And whereas Percy Conway was born in 1931 in Canton, Mississippi. Due to limited opportunities in the South, he came to the Lockport-Joliet area in 1950 at the age of 19 during the Great Migration. And whereas in 1951, Percy Conway was drafted and served in the Korean War for 21 months. During his time in the United States Army, he rose to the rank of technical sergeant. And whereas Conway's High Style Beauty Center and Barbershop was constructed by its owner, Percy Conway, who built 90% of the building with his own hands. A friend of his, insurance agent, brought a backhoe to assist with the digging and laying of the brick, and Drake Lumber gave him a truckload of lumber on credit. And whereas Percy Conway was involved in local politics for many years, he retired on May 19, 2013, after serving for 23 years as a Lockport Township trustee. In addition to his years as a trustee, Mr. Conway also served on the Lockport Township Advisory Board, Lockport Township High School Foundation, and Lockport Township Vocational Advisory Board. In total, Mr. Conway has over 47 years of public service. And whereas Percy Conway has been a longtime advocate for the Fairmont neighborhood. And whereas Percy Conway was married to Armelia Betty Parham for 35 years. They were married on Christmas Eve in 1955. Mr. Conway has 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Mrs. Conway worked with Mr. Conway at the shop prior to her death. Today, 2 of his daughters also work at the shop. And whereas Percy Conway remains very active in the Fairmont community and continues to oversee operations at Conway's High Style Beauty Center and Barbershop on a daily basis. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive hereby congratulate Conway's High Style Beauty Center and Barbershop on its 50th anniversary. Be it further proclaimed that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive express their appreciation to Percy Conway for his many years of dedicated service to the Fairmont community and to Will County. Dated this 21st day of April 2016, attested by Lawrence M. Walsh, Will County Executive, and Nancy Schultz-Voots, Will County Clerk. And I so move.
Moved and seconded by Mr. Babbage. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion carried.
Thank you very much. I know some of you saw me looking around. I was trying to find Percy Conway. I didn't know all of that. Well, thank you very much. First, I want to thank Steve. At his absence, he's not here today, but he's part of the land use department. He made a special trip to come to my shop and invite me to this affair, this occasion. And I said, Steve, tell me what's going on. How do I dress? What do I put on? Percy, you be there. Don't worry about it. You'll be there. And so I just want to thank all of you, executive, Secretary Walls, all the commissioners, county board, and all of you who played a part, who had a hand in this event. I humbly accept this with the greatest appreciation to all of you, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Next up is County Board Member Chuck Mayer. Please come forward. Recognizing April as Autism Awareness Month.
I could stand up here and say a lot about people with autism and the kind of things that they have to go through in their life, but I have a special guest speaker for us, and I'd like to invite Jack Mayer to come down to the podium. Come on down, Jack. Jack is a student at Neuqua Valley High School. He's a sophomore over there, and recently Jack had to present to the student body of Neuqua Valley at a presentation, and I was fortunate enough to see a video of this and thought that if we were going to take a look and recognize autism and make April Awareness Month, that Jack should have an opportunity to speak to us. Jack?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you ever feel confused? That's a silly question. Everyone feels confused once in a while. Do you ever feel anxious? See, that's not a fair question either, because being anxious is normal for everybody. Let me try another one. Are you easily distracted? Well, that doesn't really work either. How about this? Are you uncomfortable in social situations? That's no good. It's too general. I got it. Do you have trouble making eye contact? And do you like to stim with objects all the time? What I'm trying to describe are some of the feelings of a person living with autism. My name is Jack Mayer, and I have autism. Autism is a neurological condition characterized by delays in social interaction and repetitive behaviors. It can be diagnosed as early as 3 years old. I apparently was diagnosed at the age of 6. Determining autism can be very difficult, even for the best neurologists and psychologists. Even though my parents were concerned about my development, many doctors told my parents that I wasn't autistic. Autism isn't like the measles or the mumps, because there's no cure, and each person with autism behaves differently. That is why the symbol for autism is a puzzle piece. Currently, there are 1 in 68 children living or who were born and are diagnosed with autism. Even though there is no cure, I am positive that early intervention can help children with autism and really help with their development. I went to speech and occupational therapy before I was 2 years old. All of the time I spent working with therapists has really helped me in everyday tasks. Groups like Autism Speaks are helping spread the word so that more resources can be offered to kids and teens with autism. If people keep spreading the word, life can be much easier for kids living with this puzzling condition. Organizations such as Best Buddies and Special Olympics have impacted my life dramatically. They have allowed me to make terrific friends. I want to thank everyone here for letting me come and speak today. If there's one thing that I hope I taught everyone here today, it's the fact that we are all different. Some of us get nervous. Some of us repeat behaviors. And some people don't even like to look at you. And some people don't like loud noises. Some people are like this every single day of their lives. Autism is hard to understand. But the more we listen, the more we as a society will understand what it is like for kids with autism. Thank you for having me.
Can I have Paul and Diana Mayer and Sarah Mayer join me down here at the podium? Paul and Diana Mayer, and I want to spell that M-A-Y-O-R, not related to me. Now, Sarah, on the other hand, happens to be my wife and a teacher and rehab counselor over at Neuqua Valley High School. And so you can see that Jack has done an amazing job with overcoming his disability. You know, people look at disabilities, and that is a medical condition that we all don't have. People have disabilities, but we all have handicapping conditions. Jack named a few that some of us have at different times, every one of us in our lives, where we felt shy, where we felt like we weren't fitting part of a group, whatever that might be. But I want to thank his parents for being the support that they've been to make Jack the young man that he is today. Autism is in my family as well, and I have nephews and nieces that I've seen my brothers and sisters go through helping them, and so I thought that this was a real important recognition this month. And so with that, recognizing April as the National Autism Awareness Month, and whereas autism spectrum disorders, or ASD, affects persons regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic status, or geography. And whereas autism are the fastest growing serious developmental disability in the United States, whereas the U.S. Center of Disease Control and Prevention, which analyzed data from 2008, indicates 23% rise in diagnosis over a 2-year period. And whereas the CDC reports evidence of autism in the United States is now 1 in 68 children diagnosed, and 1 in 54 boys being diagnosed compared to 1 in 252 girls, a rate that has risen far above the 206 estimated of 1 in 110. Now therefore be proclaimed. The Will County Board, the Will County Executive here do proclaim April as Autism Awareness Month to call attention to autism spectrum disorder, stress the importance of early diagnosis and early intervention, and to celebrate the unique talents and qualities of individuals with autism and their parents, relatives, and professionals that provide invaluable support. Be it further proclaimed that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive encourage all citizens to learn more about autism, what they can do to support individuals on the spectrum and their families, and to bring hope to all who deal with the hardships of this disorder. Dated this 21st day of April, 2016, Lawrence M. Walsh, sorry, that was reversed. Will County Executive, and Nancy Schultz-Voos, Will County Clerk, and I so move.
So moved by Mr. Mayor, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to present this now to Jack and his family and to Sarah to be able to be hung up in at Neuqua Valley High School. There we go, Jack. I appreciate that.
After one more, just make sure nobody blinked or anything.
Next up is recognizing Comcast Cares Day. County Board Member Herb Brooks will read from his desk.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Recognizing April 30th, 2016 as Comcast Cares Day. Whereas Comcast remained an active, committed, and engaged member of the local community as demonstrated by 15 years of Comcast Care Day service, and whereas Comcast supports the core American value of volunteerism through partnership, grants, volunteer activities that empower individuals and organized communities, and whereas Comcast Day is a celebration of service and is one of the largest national days of volunteer service that brings employees, family, friends, and community partners together for a common purpose and mission, and whereas Comcast is celebrating the 15th Comcast Cares Day and has reached important milestones, including 4 million volunteer hours. I should have had Jack read this for me, Chuck. 4 million volunteer hours and more than 700,000 volunteers since Comcast Cares Day started in 2001. And whereas Comcast Cares Day promote a spirit of corporate responsibility thanks to the hard work, dedication, and service of volunteers. Now, therefore be it proclaimed that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2016 as Comcare's Day. Dated this 21st day of April, 2016, attested by Nancy Schultz Volz, Larry M. Walsh, Will County Executive, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Next up is County Board Member Annette Parker, recognizing Joliet Montessori 50th anniversary. Annette.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to congratulate Joliet Montessori School on their success and dedication to education in Will County. The head of school, Heather Bonacorda, is here, along with Will County Attorney Vicki Breslin, to accept the certificate. Joliet Montessori is a not-for-profit school in Crest Hill that has been serving children since 1996. Their mission is to inspire students to engage academically and socially every day, developing independence, a love of work, and a respect for all. The 50th anniversary gala will be held on April 30th, 2016 at Joliet Country Club. Congratulations again to Joliet Montessori School, and dated this 30th day of April 2016 is the date of their gala. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Moving on to old business. All resolutions from the March 17, 2016 County Board agenda have been signed by the County Executive. Moving on to new business. First committee, Land Use and Development Committee. Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Tom.
We'd like to open the public hearing for land use cases, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor? Brooks? Yes. Howard? Yes. Ogalla? Yes. Singer? Yes. Rice? Yes. Harris? Yes. Trainier? Benefield? Yes. Fritz? Yes. Freitag? Gould? Yes. Balich? Yes. Frizzalone? Yes. Winfrey? Yes. Parker? Staley Ferry? Thank you. Babich? Yes. Hart? Yes. Tuminello? Yes. Weigel?
Yes.
Collins? Yes. And Mustis? Thank you.
Ms. Trainier, would you like to be a yes?
I would like to be a yes.
Mayor, too.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
21 affirmative.
21 affirmative. We are in public hearing. Please be advised absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. Today, we have two cases to be heard. Case 6294-MS and case 6295-S. there must be one case. In case 2, case 6294MS and case 6295S. We have Ken Carlson has signed up for questions only. Ken, is it correct? Don't want to make a statement? Okay, questions only. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on either of these two cases? Anyone wish to speak on any of these two cases? Last chance for anyone that wishes to speak. Mr. Weigel.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Balich. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Howard? Ogala? Singer? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel?
Yes.
Collins? And Mustis. Thank you.
23 affirmative.
23 affirmative, motion has carried. Madam Clerk, recognize Steve Wilhelmi in attendance.
Hi, Steve.
Back to you, Tom.
Our first case, 6294MS, is a zoning case, 5-star landscape in Lockport on New Avenue. They're requesting a map amendment from A1 to I1. A committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Collins. Any previous roll by Mr. Mayor, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary. Mr. Wilhelmi, would you be recorded as yes? Thank you. Motion has carried.
For this same case, a special use permit for outdoor storage with 3 conditions. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor say by aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next case, 6295-S, is a case in Frankfort Township. The Highway Commissioner is asking for a dynamic sign. He's asking for a special use permit for a dynamic sign with 1 condition. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Mustis. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Mayor, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next are the resolutions. 16-87, a request for refund of fees from case 6272-S, Ryan and Maria McLean. This concerns the refund of $675 for the special use permit which we granted last fall. And we did change our ordinance to allow this as a permitted use where there would not be a fee in the future. The committee recommends approval of the refund request, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Fritz, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next resolution, 16-88, is a county board initiated map amendment from R4 and R5 single-family residential to special use, special parks, and open space district in Frankfort Square. This is initiated by the county board. It's a new zoning purpose which we don't have in our ordinance. We adopted in 2012, but we don't have any existing uses for this. This will have to go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a public hearing and also come back to the county board for final approval. So this is just preliminary, initiating this map amendment request. The committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Hart. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next resolution, 16-89, designating Katz Pippenbrick Horner Barn as a historic landmark. This is located in Beecher. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel. Second by Ms. Ogala. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next resolution, 16-90, designating the Boardman Cemetery as a historic landmark. This is located in Bolingbrook. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Trainier. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Our next land use meeting will be May 10th. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Tom. Next up, Finance Committee, Mr. Frizzalone, Chairman.
Good morning, Will. Count.
Good morning, Michael.
Am I good? There we are. First up, I'd like to open a public hearing regarding the intent of the County of Will, Illinois to sell not to exceed $275 million in general obligation bonds. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, seconded by Ms. Hart. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor? Brooks? Howard? Ogala? Singer? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? And Mustis. Thank you.
23 affirmative, 1 negative.
23 to 1. Motion has carried, Mr. Frizzalone.
Okay. Anybody?
Any discussion? Anyone want to speak? Any questions? Any questions on what is happening here? Any speaker? Mr. Frizzalone?
Make a motion to come out of public hearing?
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Mayor. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Howard? Ogala? Singer? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? And Mustis. Thank you.
23 affirmative.
24.
24 should be.
Singer's in.
I know, but, oh, seniors. 24 affirmative.
24 affirmative. We are out of public hearing. Continue, Mr. Frizzalone.
Okay, that's another one of the steps we have to take, and there will be more to, for our building plan. Next up, I'd like to put some reports on file. We have the monthly report from the Illinois Department of Revenue showing sales tax remitted to Will County for the month of January 2016 to be $1,815,224.95, and the RTA tax received is $2,198,999.89, for a total of $4,014,224.84. We also have the Will County Monthly County Treasurer Report dated February 29th, and we have the quarterly financial report for the 3 months ending February 29, 2016, from the Will County Auditor, Duffy Blackburn. And I would like to put all of these 3 reports on file. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next action is 16-91, increasing the compensation for field technicians, which we missed last month, for the March 15th, 2016 general primary and all future elections, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Staley Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next up is 16-92, increasing the appropriations in the RTA budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Howard, second by Ms. Trenier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
16-93, increasing appropriations in the Health Department budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
And lastly, 16-94, authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents for the delinquent tax program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Bryce. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
That's all I have for today, and our next finance meeting is scheduled for May 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you very much, Michael.
You're welcome.
Next up, Public Works and Transportation Committee, Mr. Gould, Chairman.
Morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Don.
Excuse me. I'd like to place on file the renewal of a federally enforceable state operating permit for Canal Terminal Company in Shanahan. I also like to place on file a public notice for proposed significant modification of the Clean Air Act permit program for PQ Corporation in Joliet.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
We have Resolution 1695, confirming an award of contract to Mead Incorporated, led on March 16th, countywide LED module replacement, all county board districts. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Parker. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Collins, second by Ms. Trenier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 1696, authorizing approval of the establishment of an altered speed zone, County Board Districts 5 and 13, Renwick Road. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Fritz. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 1697, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement for the maintenance and energy of traffic signals at the intersection of 143rd Street and Gauger Road in Will County, County Board District 7. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Collins, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 1698, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement for the installation and maintenance of flashing school zone signs at Three Rivers School on Shanahan-Manuka Road in the County of Will, County Board District 6. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Hart. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 1699, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for design engineering services with Trans Systems Incorporated for structure and appurtenant work on Shanahan-Manuka Road over the I&M Canal, County Board District 6. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Staley Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 16100, authorizing the appropriation of MFT funds for design engineering services by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for structure and appurtenant work on Shanahan-Manuka Road over the I&M Canal, County Board District 6. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Freitag. Any question? Previous roll by Ms. Trenier, second by Ms. Collins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 16101, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for supplemental design engineering services with Christopher B. Burke Engineering on 135th Street from 1,200 feet east of Smith Road to Emily Lane, County Board Districts 3 and 7, using RTA tax funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Hart, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 16102, authorizing approval of an IDOT county agreement regarding land acquisition costs for improvements to Weber Road at I-55, County Board Districts 3, 4, and 13. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Collins. Any question, Mr. Weigel?
I'd like to make a comment concerning this project. It's a $5 million expenditure for improvement of Weber Road and the interchange with I-55. This is over, the total project will be like $50 million or somewhat in that area. And the village of Bolingbrook is going to be a primary beneficiary of this because it is in the back door of Bolingbrook. I recently received a letter from Bolingbrook. They were complaining that we're not paying for their 911 center, but we are providing a 911 center for our sheriff's department and other eastern Will County residents. This is mandated by the state of Illinois. Now Bolingbrook is getting this millions and millions of dollars of funding. Perhaps they should come forward and provide additional funding for the county. Also, the Caton Farm Bruce Road project is going to be several $million. It's going to benefit several communities in northern Will County, northwest Will County. It's not going to benefit the people in eastern Will County. So these projects are spread throughout the county, and we've got to take all this into consideration and not be picky about certain projects that are being presented by the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other comments? Any other comments?
Yeah, let's go there, yeah.
I agree with your comments, Tom.
Motion's been made and seconded. Previous roll call by, you got a question? Previous roll call by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 16103, authorizing approval of an IDOT county joint agreement for improvements on 95th Street at the intersection with Plainfield-Naperville Road, County Board District 11. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Hart. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Howard, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
That concludes my report. Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is May 3rd at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. Next up is Judicial Committee. Mr. Benefield, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Darren.
We have one resolution today. That's Resolution 16104. It's the award bid for transport van for the Sheriff's Department, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Benefield, second by Ms. Ogala. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Our next Judicial Committee meeting is scheduled for May 3rd at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Darren. Next up, Public Health and Safety Committee, Ms. Ogala, Chairperson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Judy.
This morning I have a couple things. I have Resolution 16105, increasing the private pay rates for Sunny Hill Nursing Home, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have Resolution 16106, awarding bid for housekeeping supplies for Sunny Hill Nursing Home, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Ogala, second by Ms. Collins. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
And my third resolution is 16107, awarding bid for dietary and nursing products for Sunny Hill Nursing Home, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you. I do have a couple announcements I'd like to make. One is I'd like to just say that this month at our committee meeting for public health and safety, we had representatives from our Will County Sheriff's Department come, and they spoke about how one of their deputies was able to save a life for somebody who had a heroin overdose. So that's a real positive, great job training, and they're moving forward and continuing to make sure that more people are trained as well on their staff. But that's a great lead into our event that's coming up on Friday, April 29th. We have our Hero and Helps Will County event. This is a special event. It'll be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Edward Hospital Athletic and Event Center, 55 Phelps Avenue in Romeoville. This event is sponsored by the Heroin Epidemic Relief Organization, Will County Heroin Education Leads to Prevention Solutions, the Southwest Coalition for Substance Abuse Issues, and the Village of Romeoville. The event will mostly be focused on the new state law that it will be impacting 9 different agencies, and there will be representatives from 5 agencies there to talk about what the law means. Featured topics: medication shopping and prescribing requirements, medication disposal, pharmacists dispensing naloxone, overdose reporting requirements, school awareness, and overdose prevention. So I hope that everyone here has passed a flyer out to your local areas. I've contacted my schools to let them know that this is going on. It's a very important event. It's something that is not only here in Will County, it's in the state, it's nationwide. It's something that's very important, and we need to do all that we can to help those first responders be able to save lives as well as any family members. So I want to thank this organization for putting this great event on, and for Anastasia for making sure I remember, because today I had forgotten about it. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of it, and I look forward to seeing all of you there. And the next Public Health and Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for May 5th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy. Next up is Legislative and Policy Committee, Ms. Hart, Chairperson.
I just have a few things today. We're going to start with a resolution, 16-108, in support of the FRA crew size rule. And I so move.
Moved by Ms. Hart, second by Mr. Mayor.
Okay. If I can also, please, Mr. Executive, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules to allow speakers at this time.
Okay, moved by Ms. Hart, second by Ms. Trainier, suspend the rules. All in favor, aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. We have a gentleman by Bob Guy that wants to speak. Good morning, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Executive, board members. My name is Bob Guy. I am the State Legislative Director for SMART Transportation Division in Illinois. We represent railroad workers throughout the state on all major freight railroads, small railroads, Amtrak, and Metra. In the interest of time, I just wanted to introduce myself, and I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the resolution.
Any questions for Mr. Guy? Maybe you might want to just briefly what the resolution said.
The FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, after 2 highly publicized train derailments in 2013, promulgated a rulemaking process to mandate that 2 people operate freight trains, both or 2 crew members. Historically, it's an engineer and a conductor. That is the historic norm now in the industry. It's how 99% of the industry works today. This would simply basically codify the status quo. Due to those incidents and the effect they had on their public communities. One was in Lac-Mégantic, Quebec, just miles from the Maine border. Another highly publicized incident was also in North Dakota with the release of crude oil. Many of us here in Illinois remember the oil train derailment over by Galena a year or so ago. But that's what the rule would do, Mr. Executive.
Thank you. Any questions, any clarification? No. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob. So we have Resolution 16108 on the floor. Previous roll by Mr. Mayor, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Great. Thank you. Really quick, I just have a couple other things. One, I wanted to announce that House Bill 1191 passed out of the House with both with Al Riley, Representative Riley, coming out and championing it. It was amazing. On the other side, we had Grant Worley running around and getting those votes. So it was something history being made. It was for the Land Act where 55 and Weber, where our project is there. So that was, it's nice to report something positive out of Springfield for a change. And lastly, I do have a little treat if we can have Dean and Marta come in. And it is a treat. We have the electronic recycling, and there's been a lot of question of exactly what these bills and what we're working on in Springfield and how this is working. And I know with all these questions, Dean, Marta, I know you have the answers. So if we could just do a quick 5 minutes to kind of pay attention. And I know also with there's been some municipalities that have been in question and asking, why are we no longer being able to, Will County and the state being able to go and pick up this electronic recycling? So maybe this will answer some of your questions.
Okay. Hi. Thanks for your indulgence. Excuse me. Just very, very briefly, if you're familiar with the electronics issues that we're having, we came up with this. We really felt like this would actually help give a visual to what's really happening with the law. So you have the Illinois Product Stewardship Law that was passed in 2008, has been modified a little bit here and there and tweaked, but pretty much the same. And what it did was it said, and the manufacturers agree to this, that they would be responsible for paying for residential electronic recycling. So that's where you see the manufacturers over on this side. And consumers, of course, were buying things, were disposing of them. They used to be able to throw them away, and we said, well, no, you can't throw them away. Sometimes they would get charged for recycling them. We said, no, you can't be charged for recycling them. Some things have some value and some things don't. And so what was working really, really well for us in Will County was we were actually having sites, local sites that were set up. And when the markets for the metals and the plastics were really good, what we saw was the manufacturing weight, what they would pay for to the recyclers when they bid the contract, and what we would give in terms of some small amount of labor at our sites, hosting it, things like that, that covered it. And we had 13 great permanent sites. But markets for metals and plastics changed. And so here you see that the poor markets were being asked to do more. And that is more labor and more costs that are being put on us. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. We are trying to fix that legislation. In fact, we have a meeting scheduled in Springfield next Thursday afternoon to try and talk out with all the stakeholders some ideas that we have for fixing it. So
that includes the manufacturers.
Absolutely.
There's a whole summit.
Right, exactly.
Thank you. How many locations do we currently have as a county? And then, if you're aware, are there any recycling locations that are not run by the county but are still actively open within our county?
So right now, none of our sites are open. We closed all the sites permanently by the end of February. They closed at different times depending on their choices. But our vendor did not get any manufacturing weight. So they could not fund our program anymore that way. And we bid a new contract and you generously approved that. So you will have later on today the first site that's willing to step in and say, yes, we'll try this with you. And that's Lockport. And they will do it under a very different idea with restricted hours, and we will be limiting televisions to 2 per car, which is the way things have been going just because of the amount of labor that we're going to have. So yes, right now that is it for sites that take everything. Now to your other question, what about other opportunities? Best Buy is prominently displayed on our website, so is Staples. There are other opportunities. Your basic computer repair shop, some of them will take some items. No one is taking televisions. Most are not taking CRT monitors at this point. There's very little. So what we've been dealing with is we've been getting a lot of calls. You've probably heard about it too, people frustrated where they're just not able to get rid of a television set right now. And we have heard increased dumping is going on. So hopefully we'll get the Lockport site approved, and in May we'll be able to open that site and start providing services again. And we are working to actually do one-day events and things like that.
We're trying to get 3 or 4 more, hopefully by sometime this summer. But remember, we're rebuilding this whole thing. So it just totally went down, it burned, and now we have to rebuild it back up from the ground up, and with very bad conditions. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be easy to get a partner that wants to do all this, sort it, and have the space and the equipment and all that. So we all have to keep that in mind.
I've been monitoring the site in Bolingbrook, although I haven't been there in the last 2 weeks, and I have seen continued activity. I don't know if it's legal activity, and that's what I was trying to find out. You know, I knew Lockport was coming, but are there any other sites? Is the Bolingbrook one sanctioned? What's happening?
Well, Bolingbrook, we actually met with the mayor, we delivered their sign for the permanent closure because we have no way to support the activity right now. We are working on other options, but yeah, at this point, that is something that they're doing at their own
Right,
risk.
they're on their own. Yeah. It's not.
Ms. O'Gala? Mr. O'Gala? Judy, you had a question?
I did. I've recently been asked by a couple of my highway commissioners out in Eastern Will County. They have like 19 TVs, another one has 20-some. Are you guys going to contact them, let them know what they can do for this type of stuff? Because they aren't sure what to do with all these TVs right now.
Yeah, just as we work with them when they're dealing with illegally dumped tires, we do anticipate being able to, once we can get something else going, to try to work with them on this situation as well. But it's right now we're still negotiating with firms to even get to that.
We need people to handle the material. Basically, that's really what it can have the site, like I was saying, in some cases. We're looking at 3 different ideas. So obviously the collection events, that's the old version, and we'll keep doing those as soon as we can get a vendor. We have these permanent sites, and then we have another idea that we're going to see if that works as well, where we would come in and take care of it on a time basis, worked out. So we're hoping that will work as well. So we're trying to do 3 options.
Mr. Ballich?
I had a problem before with it, but I found out, at first it was $20 per sale, and then it changed. Now we found out it's only 75 cents, and I had a problem with where the money is at the point of sale, but I guess it's immaterial because it's been addressed already.
Well, the money, and that's a very common question. People want to know where's the money. They're used to paying a fee with their tires, and then the tire gets taken back. There isn't supposed to be a fee when you return the television set to a recycling site or to a retailer if they were to participate. There isn't supposed to be that fee. But the manufacturers are supposed to have a pot that they're putting aside every time they sell an item. And we've estimated that based on the weight that they sell and the average weight of items and the things that are banned. And we've come up with 75 cents for every item that they sell would be the amount that they should be putting aside to fund the entire state of Illinois' program. So that's actually where that pot you see, there it is. So that's in your 8.5 by 11 there.
Mr. Mustis?
Yeah, Mr. Executive, I think it's been, many of us have heard this before, and I'm glad all the hard work. I like to always say that fortunately for Will County, we have a landfill that provides a revenue stream for recycling. But having said that, this is really not an agenda item. I'm a little concerned about the precedent of going into this when it's not on our agenda. I think we've been allowed this enough time for it, and I think we really need to move on because it's not an agenda item.
Yep, nope, that's fine. Thank you both so much. And good luck next Thursday. I'm looking forward to hearing. all of that. Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for May 10th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Capital Improvements Committee, Madam Reagan Freitag, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Good morning. I have one resolution, 16-109, authorizing the county executive to negotiate a professional service agreement for commissioning agent for the judicial complex. I so move.
Moved by Ms. Freitag, second by Ms. Fritz. Any discussion? Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Just a friendly reminder that the Will County Board is still, has a organization group for the Relay for Life, helping Julie McCabe out, and we are still selling the t-shirts. You can get those, ask Lana or Beth. I know I purchased mine, to hope you all purchase yours, and we will be coming up with some sort of a fundraiser organization to raise money for that, and I will keep you all apprised on that. Thank you. Our next meeting is May 3rd at 11 a.m. I hope to see you all there. Have a good day.
Thank you, Reagan. Next up, Executive Committee, Mr. Mustis, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive, and board members. You know, my first 5 resolutions on my agenda this morning are due with salary increases. You and I will read the resolution, Mr. Executive.
Since I'm not supportive, I will not be motioning to approve. So I'd ask someone else to do that. The other thing I would mention that at the Executive Committee, this did have a vote of denial, not to approve salary increases, just so the board knows that. And but felt, you know, these issues need to come to the full county board. So, and that was the wish of the committee, even though it was a vote of non-approval, still to bring it forward to the full county board.
Question, Mr. State's Attorney, Jim.
Yeah.
Doesn't the chairman of the committee have to move the motion, whether he votes against it or not?
I'll move to place it on the floor.
Well, that's all, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's got the motion.
But I want to understand that.
We can't make a motion to deny. You have to make a motion to approve and then vote to deny. Is that right?
Everything goes in the positive to the floor.
Yeah, so my question, or my statement is, as chairman of the committee, you will have to lead and read the resolution, make a motion, and put it on the floor, and then whatever happens after that, then...
That's fine. I think I made it clear I'm not supportive. I would ask for a roll call vote on every resolution that deals with salaries, okay?
Okay.
Because I know people feel differently about different offices, so we'll go through everyone, and I would ask for a roll call vote on all 5, okay?
Wait, about one, Mr. Howard, did you have a question?
Larry, these things are blinking up here, they're not connecting.
Okay, is it on now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, more procedural. Basically, it says setting salary for the county auditor. Technically, there isn't a motion until the motion's made, correct? Either for what, a dollar amount on each of these salaries? Is that my understanding?
I don't know how
It's in the resolution. This is no different, Bob, than any other resolution.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, and then if there's a second, it'll go forward for a vote. If there's no seconds, they die for lack of a second. So, you know, so why don't I just put the first one on the floor, and people can have any, if people have any other comments, we can do it as we go along, okay? So I'll make, I got Resolution 16-110, setting salary for the county auditor, and I will move
Moved by
for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Trainier. Any discussion? Mr. Brooks?
Mr. Executive, there's 5 resolutions here, and I want to make a comment for all 5 of them rather than comment on one individually.
Yeah.
And my comment is this. First of all, I have no quorums at all with their current salaries. Everybody that runs for these county-wides know what to expect when they run for them. However, if we miss this opportunity, it will not come back around for 2 more years. And I think we should be proactive right now. And secondly, it doesn't affect anyone that's sitting in office right now. This will take effect after the election. And then thirdly, it has been 12 years since this county board have voted for any increases. I firmly feel had we been proactive years ago, I was just a teenager 12 years ago, so I wasn't here, but the existing board, had they been proactive, even had been in small increments, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So I'll conclude by saying this. I am supportive of the increase because we will not have another opportunity for another 2 years. And being proactive right now, some increase will, 2 years from now, it'll put us so far by comparison. Everybody received a comparison. Bruce Rayfield did a very good job in 2014 of doing a comparison. We all have that now. If you look at counties around us, we're way below. So I will be supporting all 5 of them in these resolutions on this morning. Thank you.
Mr. Mustis?
So I guess I'll do the counterpoint, right? So first, I look at our countywide salaries. As Mr. Brooks said, you know, this is setting the next group of folks that get elected to these positions. It's not about people who currently hold the positions. So people who are running know what the salary is. If they didn't feel it was an adequate salary, I would suspect they wouldn't run. But having said that, we need to look at the total compensation of elected officials. You know, we'll have elected officials occasionally come to us and talk about their salaries and so forth, but what they don't talk about is the very enhanced pension plans they have. For example, I know there's current sitting countywide elected officials who maxed out or under an enhanced pension program called ECHO, elected county official pension program. And in that program, about 30% of their salary, about another $30,000 a year goes towards their pensions. Their pensions will be 80% of what they currently make, which is about $100,000 a year, because most of them get a $6,500 stipend, which the county then has to include in our IMRF. So we pay the IMRF and the retirement benefits on that $6,500. So I'm just giving you some round numbers. It could be, I could be a little off, a few bucks. So basically, they retire with $80,000 a year pensions that will increase 3% a year for the rest of their lives, which has a value, depending on their ages when they retire, of about $1.5 million to $2 million. Let's add that to their base salary. That's another $75,000 to $100,000 a year they're receiving in pension. Plus, they get pretty good health insurance and so forth. So I look at the total compensation. Now, talking about the comparables, 2 counties make more than my recollection is 2 counties make more, DuPage and Lake. Those counties have a much higher a medium assessed evaluation. They have higher household incomes, and they're larger in population. So, you know, I like to use our former finance director, who was making maybe, and I can't remember exactly, was making a little over $100,000 a year here. He went to DuPage, he gets $160,000. And part of it is because of the additional workload or whatever. That's what they pay. So, you know, I think when on the comparables, our officials are getting well compensated. The other part I don't know, since counties had to opt in this enhanced pension program, I'm not so sure those other counties have that enhanced pension program that our elected officials do have. I just thought of it currently, but most counties did not opt in that
that elected county official program. So many of those counties may not have that enhanced pension program. So I believe that when you look at the total package, when you look at the comparable, and one of my comparables is what's the average household income in this county? And I believe it's in the 60s. You know, that's when you go countywide. So this, and that's household income, not average income. So when you look at the income levels that we have here in Will County, I think that's my comparable, how they can pay according to the taxpayers who are paying their salary. So I think it's, and I might throw one other thing that most of you wouldn't know because you weren't here. There was a time when our county officials were low. In an 8-year period, we basically doubled their salaries in 8 years. So I think we did make up that gap years ago, and I think it's an adequate salary. Quite frankly, you know, I don't know a lot of people who have $100,000 a year salaries. Most people I know who make over $100,000 a year, they have to perform on you know, either they're commission people or there's other performance bonuses they have to meet or whatever. So I do think our elected officials are appropriately compensated. Maybe in 4 years, things will change. The other thing I'd like to point out, you know, we've had relatively low cost of living, which is another factor. Even though over 12 years, it's probably, there's some there. I'm not going to, probably 10, 12% or so, but you know, that has stayed low. So I think for this round, we're okay. One other mention, and I'm going to mention the state's attorney, because this board does not set the state's attorney's compensation. The state's attorney's compensation is set by the state of Illinois, and just to say that we have not been out of step. My understanding is, and maybe the state's attorney can either nod yes or no, but there has not been any increase to the state's attorney by the state of Illinois for 9 years. Is that about right?
The bad thing is the Compensation Review Board every year recommends a raise. The legislature kills it.
So I might also add that even on the state level, they're not giving our state's attorney increases either. So I don't think we're out of step with the state of Illinois. So well, I hope we're not in step with them always on their things, but you know what I'm saying. At least when it comes to elected official salary, we haven't been out of step. So I guess that's the last word. I'm not going to comment on any other because I feel the same about all the salaries. So, okay.
Mr. Howard.
I'm having trouble with my computer, so basically, if somebody could clarify this, what we're talking about is 1% raise per year. It's like $930 per year per office.
Well, it's not per year, it compounds at 1%, just so you know.
Over a period of 4 years, correct? And there are certain individuals that won't receive the benefit of this for different amounts of time. Like I said, I'm trying to get in there. I got 657 pages in there. It's driving me nuts. So. Anyway. Oh, am I now?
It's on now.
It's on now.
Do I have to repeat all that or no? Okay. Yeah, there you go. Well, there goes what I was saying.
Well, homie.
Oh, thank you.
Are you done, Bob?
Yeah, so it is 1%, or is it less than 1%, a hair over 1%? What is it? What is the amount?
I have no clue.
The resolution is a 1% compounding.
Oh.
The first year is $975, and then it's $975 a year because there's a compounding to the number. But if I had to give
You a number, it's probably an increase of probably about 4.5% over a 4-year period, is what I would say. Just so you know what the real increase is.
You finished, Bob?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Wilhelmy?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Yes, I think that after 12 years, 1% compounded per year for 4 years is not too big of an amount. One of the things that I am wondering about is anybody heard or was it discussed about that stipend that the state provides? My understanding is it might be being taken away, or is that been talked about?
As far as I know, still have been receiving it, Steve.
I know they have been.
You never know what's going to happen at the state. I think they normally get it in June or something.
It is in June. It's approved in June. I don't think they've received it yet this year, but I do think it's been approved to get. They could pull it. My question is, was there any discussion about making these raises, even if you're not approving it the way it is now with the stipend, if that stipend were to be removed by the state, would there be more support for approving this? That's my thoughts.
Yeah, well, maybe there would be. That may be a circumstance we would consider, but we don't know. So I have to assume
Can you
that-
make this resolution amended to be contingent? That if they remove the stipend, that they would receive at least these amounts that we're approving, or that we've had scheduled here?
I'm not supportive of that, but Steve, you always have the ability to make an amendment to the resolution to see if there's support for that. You would have to ask this body whether they're supportive.
That's my thoughts, and if this fails, I would like to probably make that amendment.
What'd you say, Steve? You making a motion?
No, if it fails as it is, then I would like to make an motion after that to amend it and try to re-vote, if that's possible.
Well, I might also add that not everybody on this list gets a stipend. County executive does not.
Correct.
The auditor does not get a stipend from the state, even though we've as a county have provided that for the auditor.
Yeah, we did have precedence for doing that one time when he lost his.
I don't think that, I just want to make it clear that not everybody gets a stipend. County executive has an additional function that he's compensated for, which is as the liquor commissioner of the county. But that's not a stipend. That's something he is paid for as one of his functions.
And I did want to clarify one other thing, Jim, that you had mentioned it too. It's actually all but one county in the collar counties is only one is below the Will County. We're the second lowest, and we are the.
There's only 5 collar counties.
Yeah. So DuPage, Lake, Kane.
There's 3 ahead of us.
Kane is the only one below us. I'm done.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, let's call the roll.
Mr. Walsh, Mr. Executive, I'd like to speak before you do that.
Darren, okay.
I just want to follow up with Mr. Mouses's statements that I really believe that you have to look at the entire compensation package. And I'd like to ask the question about how many of these folks in this room, county board members included, are going to walk away with pensions that are paying 80%. I know I don't have that. And so I think what we're offering our elected officials is a very fair compensation package. And I just wanted to say that before we move on for the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Mr. Balich?
I just want to say that if you go ask the people in the neighborhoods that elect you for these offices, and you tell them that you're going to vote to give more money to people that are elected, what are they going to say? So if you're actually doing your job in a representative democracy, there's no way on earth that you should be voting for these increases, because those people in the neighborhoods don't want to give it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Yes. Ogala?
No.
Singer?
No.
Rice?
No.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
No.
Fritz?
No.
Freitag? No. Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Frizzalone?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Babbage?
Yes.
Wilhelmie? Hart?
No.
Tumanello? Weigel?
No.
Collins? Mustis?
No.
Thank you.
affirmative, 15 negative.
9 affirmative, 15 negative. Motion has been denied.
Okay, on the next resolution, 16-111, setting salaries for the clerk of the circuit clerk, I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Matt, any discussion?
Previous roll call?
Previous roll call?
I
You want to?
Previous-
Jim, did you want a roll call?
I actually wanted a roll
Madam
call vote.
Clerk- Madam Clerk, call the roll.
I think some felt differently about different offices, so.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Ogala?
No.
Singer?
No.
Rice?
No.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
No.
Fritz?
No.
Freitag?
No.
Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Frizzalone?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Babbage?
Yes.
Wilhelmie?
Yes.
Hart?
No.
Tumanello?
No.
Weigel?
No.
Collins?
No.
And Mustis.
No.
Thank you.
We have the same number.
9 affirmative, 15 negative.
9 affirmative, 15 negative. Motion is carried. Motion has been denied.
Mr. Executive, since we had 2 roll call votes of identical votes, if we want to go to previous roll call, I think it would be okay with me. So, next we have 16-112, setting salary for the county coroner. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Staley Ferry. Previous roll by Mr. Singer, second by Mr. Mayor. All in favor, second, Bobby. Well, Madam Clerk, call
Say the roll. I tried.
Here we go. Mayor?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? No. Ogala?
No.
Singer?
No.
Rice?
No.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier? Benefield?
No.
Fritz? Freitag? Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Frizzalone?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart?
No.
Tumanello? Weigel?
No.
Collins? And Wilhelmie. I'm Mustis, I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, he could vote.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry
he
about
could
that,
vote for
Steve.
me, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay?
Same.
No, not yet. What's the roll?
8 affirmative, 16 negative.
8 affirmative, 16 negative. The motion has been denied.
Okay. Next, we have 16-113, setting salary for the county recorder. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Wilhelmie. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Ogala?
No.
Singer?
No.
Rice?
No.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
No.
Benefield?
No.
Fritz?
No.
Freitag?
No.
Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Frizzalone?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie?
Yes.
Hart?
No.
Tumanello?
No.
Weigel?
No.
Collins? And Mustis.
No.
Thank you.
Eight affirmative, 16 negative.
8 affirmative, 16 negative. The motion has been denied.
Okay, next we would have 16-114, setting salary for the Will County Executive. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Wilhelmie. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Ogala?
No.
Singer?
No.
Rice?
No.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
No.
Benefield?
No.
Fritz?
No.
Freitag?
No.
Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Frizzalone?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Staley Ferry. Babbage. Wilhelmie. Hart. Tumanello. Weigel. Collins. And Mustis.
No.
Thank you.
8 affirmative, 16 negative.
8 affirmative, 16 negative. Motion has been denied. Proceed, Mr. Mistress.
Okay. Next, we have 16-115, requesting the Will County Public Building Commission to assign the DLR contract for Lily Road Complex to the County of Will. As amended, there's an amended version. The State's Attorney's Office said a section, it would actually be reassigned, it would be reassigning it back to the County Executive's Office, just so you know. The reassignment goes back to the County Executive's Office, who's really been doing the project with their staff. So I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Madam Clerk, is there any questions? Any questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Howard? Ogalla? Singer? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Freitag? Gould? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Babbage? Wilhelmie? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel? Collins? And Mustis.
Yes.
Thank you.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative, motion has carried.
Next, we have 16-116, authorizing emergency purchase of computer hardware for the ADF. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Motion in previous roll call, Mr. Wilhelmie, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 16-117, Hickory Creek Watershed Planning Group annual dues for 2016. This is an agency membership, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis. Somebody say second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 16-118, resolution with White and Company for professional design services required for the new Will County Courthouse project. I'll move for approval.
Mentioned by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Freitag. In previous roll call by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried.
Sure.
Next, we have resolution 16-119, renewal of contract with Aon Hewitt Consulting for benefits, consulting broker and professional services for benefits administrations, system and related services, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Collins, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Mr. Singer, would you like to vote on this? Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have resolution 16-120, authorizing Workforce Investment Board contract with Joliet Hospice for a business grant for employee training, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Howard, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 16-121, Workforce Investment Board contract with Diego for a business grant for employee training, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Rice. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogalla, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, resolution 16-122, declaring vehicles surplus and authorizing disposal. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Howard. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Trainier, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Next, we have 16123, declaring sheriff's seized vehicles surplus and authorizing disposal. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Muster, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Wilhelmy, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have Resolution 16124, declaring various equipment surplus and authorizing disposal. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Collins, second by Mr. Ballage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 16125, authorizing extension of contract for security guard services, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Trainier. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have Resolution 16126, authorizing renewal of wraparound professional liability insurance for the Community Health Center. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have Resolution 16127, Community Development Block Grant Program Policies and Procedures for the 2016 through 2018 program years. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 16128, authorizing intergovernmental agreement with PACE for continuation as the service provider for the Will County Mobility Management Project, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Howard, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion.
Next, we have authorizing an IGA with Lockport for electronic recycling. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion carries.
The next executive committee will be on May 5th at 10 a.m. Mr. Executive, that concludes my report.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mustis. Move on to appointments by the county.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will move to approve the appointments by the county executive.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. And previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried. Anyone here desire to talk before this group? Public comment? And anyone wishes to address public comment? Ms. Trainier?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I just wanted to mention, because it was not brought up this morning in the proclamation about Autism Awareness Month, that we are very fortunate to have county board members and a county executive and leadership, as well as staff, that understands how this affects our community, and it is incorporated into the insurance for our employees. That is extremely unusual. I do want to say that. The only other governing body that I'm aware of, and of course I'm talking now more on a national level, is federal employees. They have that coverage now, as of this year, for their employees. Prior to this year, the insurance companies were not bound to offer that coverage to federal employees. I also understand that the Pentagon is actually trying to remove this coverage for our military service members in their TRICARE program. There's been some movement in the House and the Senate to try to stop that. So I just want to commend Will County for what they're doing and encourage other employers as well as bodies of government to support the community and the employees that they serve.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jackie. Mr. Howard?
My light's on.
Then you're on.
I believe this deserves a mention. A longtime Eastern Will County resident, Milt Pappas. He was a great guy. Actually, a lot of interaction out there. He was always everywhere, a lot of events or whatever, and a former Cubs player. So I think he deserves a mention this morning. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We lost
you,
him this
Robert.
past week.
Thank you. Announcement by the Republican Caucus Chair, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Well, we are almost deep into spring, and you can tell because we've had 80-degree weathers, and we'll be back down to 40 tonight. And who knows if we're going to have snow between now and May. But I just want to say, Jack did a great job today, didn't he? He did an amazing job of reminding us of all the similarities and the that we all have. And when I talk to both members of our parties, we all have a lot more similarities than we do differences. You know, when you take a look at families and friends and community and why we do what we do, sometimes we just take a different road to get there. And so I just want to reach out to everybody here on the board and everybody that's listening in Will County to this, that reach out and touch a friend, a neighbor, let them know that they're not alone, that they do matter. And no matter where we are there to support you. And I just want to thank, again, Jack and his parents for having the courage to come out here and get up in front of this body and speak today. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the month, and we'll see you in May.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Democratic Caucus Chair, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Still morning. I am going to, once again, as I rarely do, agree with across the aisle, Mr. Mayor's comments. Let me start with all of the resolutions this morning. And I'm always very impressed with all of them. First of all, those of you that may not know Percy Conway, he's been cutting hair, as you learned, over 50 years. Even though my son owns a barbershop in the city of Joliet, I've always gone to Mr. Conway. and I just, what about I just recently have, because of my time schedule, stopped going to Mr. Conway because I'm glad he's gone to hear this. He talks too much. But and then he oftentimes talks on a cell phone while he's with you, etc. But a great guy, great barber, and what a pillar of that community. Make sure, Nate, that's on tape and not the other part. And I want to agree with Mr. Mayor because I think Jack did a wonderful job as a young man. Mr. Executive, I don't know if you know this or not, but the past 40 years, I've been trying to break into this public speaking community arena. And Jack, I could take some points from because he's a very brave young man, he's a very secure young man, and he was a very audible young man. And those are some very unique qualities for public speakers. So Mr. Mayor, I have to agree with you and commend him for a job well done on this morning. As a matter of fact, had he not gone, I was inviting him to speak Sunday morning in my pulpit. I think he did that great of a job. So he did a wonderful job. And then Comcast Cares, I read that resolution, and I'll be presenting that, and Beth, you'll be giving me the original. I'll be reading that on Saturday the 30th at the Boys and Girls Club in the city of Joliet on the corner of Eastern and Clinton Avenue at 8 a.m., and you're all invited to that event. It's an all-morning thing. I think, Mr. Executive, I saw where you have responded to it, and many others have too. But it's a great event. Comcast gives back a lot to our community, and I was so very glad that they invited me to speak as well and to read that resolution. And so I'm very, once again, impressed with all of our resolutions on this morning. Thank you all. Agree with you one more time, Chuck. Have a wonderful spring that's left of it. Thank you so much.
Thank
God
you.
bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Next up, our Board Speaker, County Board Speaker, Mr. Mustis.
Okay, I'm on, okay. Well, we're going to finish up in the AM today, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, I'm going to also talk a little about autism. You know, we see Jack come up, and you know, what a wonderful young man, very high-functioning autistic person. But it is a spectrum, and you should keep in mind that the majority of autistic people do not function at Jack's level. On the other hand, if it wasn't for autistic, high-functioning autistic folks, you wouldn't enjoy all the technologies and so forth you enjoy today. Much of it is developed by people who are high-functioning autistic people, you know. You know, they can read this Atom Smasher, you know, where most people cannot, for example. But I have a little bit more of a personal thing with autism. I have a 17-year-old autistic grandson, and by the way, watches this meeting every month on YouTube, all month long, until the new one comes out. His name is Jimmy. Of course, you know, he's my son Jim's boy. So, and like I say, and he does watch this on YouTube.
Say hi.
So if everybody can go shout out to Jimmy. Hey, Jim. How you doing, Jim? You know, because, hey, Jim, there's the camera over there. And he'll comment to me about the board meeting. Yeah, so, but, you know, autistic folks are really great people. There are families, though, that you have to keep in mind have really, really big challenges with their children because, you know, many of them are nonverbal, they'll act out, and so forth. So we need to keep fighting for these folks and for programs for those folks. So once again, hey, Jim. Okay. And the only other comment I'll make is we're off to a good spring, baseball-wise, right? You know, the Cubs even took the Cardinals 2 out of 3, so hey, it's promising for them. Even though I think the White Sox may wind up with a better record now. Only kidding. Only kidding. Only kidding. We need to start hitting, Larry. What do you think? We need some runs, don't we? You know. So everyone, once again, thanks for all your hard work, and everyone have a great remainder of spring. I guess we'll be meeting. Our next meeting will be around summertime, right? So, okay. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. If there's nothing more before the county board, I'll stand at recess to Thursday, May 19, 2016 at 9:30.